And we're back once again for episode 110. This is Kevin.
This is Brian.
And we're the horror guys here to talk to you about some horror movies and shorts and horror stuff.
And we've got a really big one this time. We got 5 movies and 2 shorts.
Yeah, we saw a virtual online film festival, and we're catching up from that.
Horror Overload.
Yeah. What was the name of that? Again, we should give
Horror,
a shout out.
Horror Hound.
Horror Hound. Yeah, they usually do it live. It's usually a convention kind of thing, but they did it virtual this year.
We were going to go to it in Cincinnati, Ohio this year, and of course it was canceled for COVID.
But we watched it from home, and we kind of liked that.
I like that a lot.
I mean, we got to sit at home and still see all the movies in our own comfortable living room with our own snacks. And, yeah.
I'd much rather do it that way than going in person.
Kind of would, and I hope I bet they'll just go back to regular when they can. But boy, it was kind of nice, yeah. Anyway, we're going to be, there's a classic, the 1971 Werewolves on Wheels.
Oh,
what could be cooler than that, yeah. And then some brand new stuff, Catherine's Lullaby from 2021, which sounds, nice and soothing, and it's less soothing than you'd think it would be. Yeah. Companion from 2021.
Yep.
As the Village Sleeps from 2021.
Put me to sleep.
Well,
okay, not that bad.
You're going to harsh on that one.
I am.
Yeah. Dwellers from 2021, which is kind of a found footage one, kind of.
Yeah, Blair Witch in the Sewers.
Sort of, yeah. Short film Inferno from 2021.
And one from the show called The Guard Station from 2021 also.
Yeah.
Bunch of stuff this time.
Uh-huh.
But
and
first,
do we have a sponsor?
We got the Horror Guys Guide. The Horror Guys Guidebooks. And that's kind of hard to say, Horror Guys Guidebooks.
And so if someone wants to step forward and sponsor us, we'd be more than happy. Until then, we're going to sponsor ourselves.
Buy our books, yes. Horror Guys Guide to Shock Theater talks about 56 horror movies from the 1920s through the 1950s. Shock Theater from Universal. The sequel to that, called Horror Guys Guide to Son of Shock, is another 40-some movies that came out as a sequel to Shock Theater, other old Universal horror movies. If the old black and white ones aren't up to your preference, you can watch the Horror Guys Guide to Hammer Horror, where you can get to talk about all the Hammer horror movies, every last one of them.
And if you check out the links on our website, we got some fiction too, and
tales to make you shiver.
Multiple stuffs you can check out for
Jess,
us.
if you're a fan of Supernatural,
Jess and the Monsters.
Jess and the Monsters, yes.
A little series that we put together. Yeah. Anyway.
So this time, let's go back in
Werewolves on Wheels, 1971. And I feel up front that I should apologize for this. Because I suggested, hey, I remember this really cool movie that I saw when I was a kid called Werewolves on Wheels. And I actually might have seen it when it came out at the drive-in.
Well, in the 70s, bikers were a big thing.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Werewolves were always a big thing. What could be cooler than mixing the two?
I know I was a wee lad, and I remember it being scary and good. And
well, we watched a movie last year, maybe the year before, called High Moon.
Uh-huh.
And it was biker werewolves.
Yes, it was.
I didn't care for it too much.
Oh, I liked that one way better than this.
It was far better than this.
High Moon was entertaining. Yeah. This was kind of boring.
It really was.
Yeah, there wasn't enough, not enough werewolves in it.
It was not a biker movie.
Well, it was plenty of wheels. Yeah, it was a biker movie with a little werewolfism thrown in.
The director must have been infatuated with motorcycles and bike gangs, and he wanted to do a documentary, but at the last minute they said, hey, werewolves
let's add a horror element to it. Yeah, and he used real bikers and real stunt people, real stunt bikers, and so there is a lot of biking. If you're into biking and people doing fun stuff on bikes, check it out. Yeah. And, throw in a werewolf or two.
If you're a werewolf fan, no, don't bother.
It's pretty tame as far as horror goes. Yeah.
All right. So directed by Michael Levesque, written by David M. Kaufman and Michael Levesque, stars Steve Oliver, Donna Anders, Gene Shane, hour and 25 minutes. And if you want to buy this stinking turkey, we have a link in the we have a link to Amazon in the show notes.
Maybe, you'd want to check it out. I don't know about buying it and owning a copy.
I'm sure there's a trailer on YouTube somewhere.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But if you're a fan of 1970s biker movies, it's not the worst thing out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're a fan of werewolves, just don't waste your time.
I'd say so. Yeah.
All right, so we start out. We get shots of the biker gang as credits roll.
There's lots of shots of bikers.
Lots of shots of bikers.
Yeah.
A guy in a truck runs one of them off the road, and the rest follow him to get their revenge. They catch up at the gas station where they beat the crap out of him and send him packing. None of the bikers want to let Taro, one of the characters, read their futures.
Because he sees bad stuff and they don't want to know.
As the guys have fun, Taro reads the future for one of the girls, and he tells her how she's going to die. Probably why he's not so popular.
Yeah, he's a doomsayer.
He explains that she's going to die in a tower struck by lightning. They all get back on the road. They all stop out in the woods and find an old church. There's a bunch of monks out there, and the bikers are a loud bunch disturbing the peace. These monks aren't the usual kind. They're Satanists.
So is that like anti-monks? Unmonks?
Demonked.
Demonks?
Monkey.
Yeah.
The devil worshippers surround the bikers who eat their bread and wine. Don't take the bread and wine from the Satanists.
Yeah, because it's magic and charmed and puts them under a spell. And,
The leader is called One, and only he is allowed to speak. So of all the Satanists, he's the talker. He puts a hair from one of the bikers in his pentagram medallion and commands them all to sleep. One does an unholy ritual and asks Satan to take a bride. Turns out it's Helen, the girl who had her fortune told earlier. First, she's in a wedding dress. Then she's eating One's bread. Next, she's naked dancing with a snake.
And
Kind of choppy.
And if you notice the euphemisms there, it's heavily innuendoed.
Dancing with a snake.
There's no sex, but boy, that's certainly, yeah.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the bikers wake up and run inside to rescue Helen. They fight the monks, who fall down really easily.
Yeah, they're pussies as far as fighters.
They're
Yeah.
something.
Well, the bikers are tough, and that's.
Well, the bikers get on their bikes and head out to the desert to get their heads straight. They ride all day, but that night, Helen starts screaming and dancing for no apparent reason.
She's been enchanted.
A couple of them, Shirley and Mouse, are killed by werewolves. Wait, what? Where'd those come from?
Suddenly, there's werewolves among them.
They rode all day to get away from the Satanists and wound up right there where the werewolves are. What a coincidence.
Huh. Almost as if the werewolves were with them. Nah, that'd be crazy.
They find the bodies in the morning. Taro says somebody's controlling the vibes, as he doesn't think their deaths were an accident. They ride on through the desert and stop for the night in a junkyard of all places. Adam warns Taro that he's freaking out the other guys because of his mystic garbage. They plan to burn the junk cars that night to keep any animals away. That night, there are more werewolf deaths. They find what's left of Movie's body in the fire. And they all have names like that. Taro and Movie and Mouse, and because that's what bikers do.
And I was really impressed with the bonfire that they could get out of a bunch of junk cars. I mean, yeah, the rubber and tires and stuff would burn for a while, but boy, this was a conflagration that lasted all night.
Sure was.
Yeah, I was a little skeptical about that.
Well, soon, Taro and Adam start fighting in the dirt. That night, Adam turns into a werewolf.
Aha.
There's lots of growling and pushing of torches with no clear goal for anyone. Eventually, they set him on fire. There's a second werewolf, I think. Maybe.
It was a little unclear.
Was it a second werewolf, or was it him again? This
I-
is so dark, you can't tell.
Yeah, it's dark and fast and
Maybe there's
chaotic.
a second werewolf, but we don't even see that until he hops on a motorcycle and rides off in the dark. The dark werewolf in the dark room, in the dark outside, on the dark motorcycle, rides off. And for some reason, he then flies into the air and explodes. It's all very dark.
yeah.
And all that whole thing with the whole werewolf is like a minute, 2 minutes at the end, and it's all filmed in the dark with a black camera with a lens cap on. Later, the bikers go back to the Satanic Temple and say they are all one with Satan. Satan wins.
I guess so. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, for the first half hour, I kept thinking that this was somebody's idea of stereotypical hippie bikers from the 70s. Then I remembered that this was from 1971, and those weren't stereotypes yet.
No, it was just a thing.
So, does that mean this was all real?
Yeah,
Yeah, somehow.
Well,
I
some
doubt
of them
it.
were real bikers.
Yeah,
You know,
maybe that's pretty authentic. Maybe
hey,
that's what they
you're a
were really
biker.
like.
You want to be in a movie? And they said, yeah.
Yeah.
And then they had professional stuntmen too. And
You think they got real
performers.
Satanists?
Maybe.
Well, the satanic ritual is long and pretty detailed, but it's clear that one is just mumbling Latin-sounded noises at one point. Oh!
Yes.
There you go. That's my mumbled Latin-sounding things, yes. Well, okay, so there are lots of scenes of guys riding motorcycles through the desert. Someone here really thought that that was fun to watch. You know, I've seen motorcycles riding through the desert. I've ridden motorcycles. It's not that fun to watch on TV.
Not so much.
The poster made it look like there would be werewolves riding motorcycles, which would be kind of cool.
There was at one point briefly.
For 20 seconds.
Yeah.
In this film, you don't even get a good look at the werewolf until right at the very end, and even then it's just creeping around in the dark, not doing anything that's fun to watch. Although one does eventually hop on a motorcycle, he only rides for a few seconds in the dark, and you can't see anything. And it's kind of a letdown for the money shot of the film. The audio is pretty terrible. And a lot of the dialogue is muffled and mumbled, and probably, I think it was really recorded out in the desert with all the background noises.
I bet it was. Yeah.
Just a guy with a
way it
microphone
sounds.
in the desert.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, the ending is so dark, I couldn't really tell you what happened after Adam turned into a werewolf.
So,
What can you add to that?
we don't give it a high rating.
No.
Yeah.
I give this a 1 star.
I would have,
Maybe a 2 on a good day.
when I was 6, I would have given it a higher rating.
Yeah. Well, you did. You remembered
Did.
it being good.
Yeah.
The satanic ritual was kind of cool, I think.
Yeah.
It
wasn't.
That's about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That's all. Yeah. That's about all we can say about it.
And then we have a couple of short films this week.
One of them.
First one is called Inferno from 2021, and there's a link in the show notes to watch this one.
That one I literally just watched minutes ago.
What'd you think?
I thought it was brilliant.
All right.
I mean, there's not much of a story where you actually know what's going on, why.
you know what's going on.
Well, you know
don't
what's going
why.
on, but you don't know why.
Yeah.
I thought her performance was brilliant. I mean, just talk about the tension and the stress and, yeah, fear. And, yeah.
Okay.
I was really impressed with this one.
Thumbs up this one also, so you should go watch that one before we spoil it right now. So
It's on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yes, this is a YouTube one.
yeah, you just go to horrorguys.com/HG110. That's how you get to the show notes.
And what a brilliant use of light and dark.
Oh yeah, because it's
There's moments where it's completely dark, and then she's flicking a lighter, and you see the flashes of light from the lighter. Yeah, it's just really good.
Okay, so a woman awakens from a horrible nightmare, but the nightmare is real. Trapped within a decrepit, rundown motel, the woman begins to piece together the horror she faces, only for creaking doors, broken glass, a rifle, and a fateful encounter in the backseat of her car. He's in the backseat, isn't he?
Yeah,
To
I
bring
said
her
that,
face to
actually.
face with a
Yeah.
monster from hell. And of course, that's from the movie description. So my commentary on this is that this is one of those we don't know what the hell is going on here type stories right up until the end.
Mm-hmm.
There's no story here. This would make a really tense scene in a larger film that doesn't really tell us anything about what's going on.
Yeah, and clearly something led up to this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the other hand, it's really well made. It's almost all outside at night, but you can see everything, which is way better than that werewolf movie.
Yeah, their lighting person really knew what they were doing.
Yeah, the lighting here is really good. The sound is excellent, although there's no dialogue, so I don't know what country this was made in. That's the thing about some of these shorts.
Oh, there isn't any at all,
No
is
words
there?
at all.
Oh, yeah, she doesn't make a sound. Well, she makes sounds.
Well,
but-
there are sounds, but there's no speaking.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
And what we see of the creature is pretty cool and terrifying.
Yeah. Thumbs up on that one for
Definitely
sure.
thumbs up. And then we watched another short, The Guard Station, which is 2021. This is one of those ones from Horror Hound, so I don't know if it's publicly available yet, but keep an eye out for it. The Guard Station, written and directed by Matt Zappala, stars Mark Bentley, Michael Boza, Ron Arthurs, 12 minutes long, and I don't have a link, but it'll be out soon. What'd you think of The Guard Station?
Mighty fine work.
Yeah.
I really liked it. Yeah.
Short, 12 minutes.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Looked good. I
Yeah,
liked it.
very good. All around, thumbs up.
All right.
Tell us about it.
Well, the security guard has pyrophobia, meaning he's afraid of fire. The old security guard gives him a quick tour of the place. There was a recent sinkhole on the construction site, and they lost a worker down there somewhere. They haven't found his body yet.
Ew.
This guy's job is simply to be the night guard, keep people out of the fenced-in area. "If you need anything, don't call me," jokes the old man. And the guard finds a cigarette lighter in the dirt. The guard, that night, hears a scream and investigates. It's a naked man who suddenly becomes covered in blood or something. The man changes into some kind of black demon with long claws. The thing then kills a homeless man. Corners the guard in the guardhouse. Can the guard overcome his fear to defeat the beast?
Watch to find out.
Find out, yeah. So the creature here is really neat. This thing could carry a full-length horror film all by itself pretty easily. The interplay between the two guards is funny and realistic. I like the old guard. He was funny.
Yeah, he was a hoot.
The story itself is short and simple, but explains everything pretty well. I definitely liked this one.
Yeah, we both did.
Yeah. All right. So which movie do we want to do first?
Well, let's do Dwellers. How about Dwellers?
The Cellar Dweller.
Yeah, this was kind of a found footage. It's a documentary.
It is.
Yeah.
And I watched the trailer for this one, and I said, man, I don't know if I even want to watch this.
Oh, you're kind of anti... You think that sort of thing peaked with the Blair Witch and has been downhill since.
And then, I'm not sure that that's wrong.
Found footage style of filmmaking.
Yeah, I didn't want to see, and I got to say, it was much better than I was expecting. I would give this a solid 8.
Yeah, it was really good. 8, 9, up there. Way up
it's
there.
Low budget. It's cheap, you can tell, but it's well done.
Yeah.
All right, so Dwellers from 2021, written and directed by Drew Fortier, stars him, Drew Fortier, James L. Edwards, Douglas Esper, and takes about an hour and 20 minutes, and yeah, we both liked it.
Would recommend it highly.
Drew, James, and Doug are 3 filmmakers that recently disappeared while shooting a documentary about the homeless.
So it's kind of a spoiler
We're told
right from the
off.
beginning. You know how you know what happened, but then you see what happened.
Yeah, they all disappeared, and here's why.
And there's only one left, and here's why. Yeah.
3 days earlier, Drew goes to see his investors. And you can tell he's kind of a slacker, kind of sleazy, kind of he put it off too late. He's like a student who waited till Sunday night for his project.
Yeah, very much so, yeah.
They want the film done by Sunday at the latest, and they're not impressed with Doug and James. So now Drew has to shoot an entire documentary film in a weekend. The story is told by Doug, who apparently did survive the weekend, as being interviewed by Mr. Dutani, presumably with the police.
Yeah, it looks like a police interrogation room.
He goes to see James. Just the way we both said that, I think they already know it's not the police. It just looks that way.
It looks that way, yeah. Well, no, it was. It was really.
Sorta.
Yeah.
Well, he goes to see James, who isn't too happy about it either. Doug shows up, and they all get started working. Doug explains that the homeless are everywhere, but Drew explains that a huge number of the homeless have been going missing recently. They stop a few homeless people for interviews, and yeah, they're all crazy.
And I do have to interject too at this point of the dark humor in this. A lot of dark humor, and James is so pissy about it. I mean, I think James was planning on a nice weekend at home, just sitting around in his robe getting drunk.
He has to go down
and
to the slums
what?
and
You
deal
mean I
with
have to
the
put
homeless.
on clothes and go out and work on this? He's really pissy about it.
And these homeless people are really cool too.
Yeah.
They are messed up.
Yeah, they got some good extras for this.
I'm not sure if they're extras, if they're real homeless.
It was hard to tell.
Really good actors or what these people are.
Yeah, they were a hoot.
So they can't get any straight answers from the local homeless folks, but it's also clear that some of them have seen something. Many of these people are dwellers, a whole community living in the sewer system. Some of them describe something terrible down there. They also interview a detective who has lots of logical explanations for the homeless disappearances. Yeah, that just happens. It's
these things happen. People disappear, lots of explanations. And it's logical.
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
They make sense.
Yeah.
Eventually, one homeless guy shows them how to get into the sewers. There's a huge tunnel leading downwards, and they slowly make their way down there. Yeah, this is more like a train tunnel than what I would call a sewer, but it's a big old thing.
It's big, and there doesn't seem to be a lot of ways out. I think, sewers, have the occasional manhole
Manholes,
cover
yeah,
with a ladder
yeah.
going up to the manhole, and there didn't seem to be, exit points. Once they got in there, they kind of got lost. And
I'm kind of sketchy about what the point of these so-called sewers were. Most of them were bone dry.
very dry.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was kind of strange, I thought.
Like train tunnels, maybe not quite that big. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, these so-called sewers. There's one huge tunnel leading downwards, and they make their way down. Doug, of course, volunteers to draw the map. Of course, he doesn't know how to draw a map, so they quickly get lost. And that is just hilarious. You let the guy who doesn't know how to draw a map do it.
Mm-hmm. And James is getting more and more pissy as this goes on.
Why did you make me come down here? Yeah. So then the homeless guy who told them to go into the tunnel shows up and robs all three of them, including the cameras.
But he leaves the camera on.
The robber then walks
so
away
we
with
get
the
to
light
see
and
the
camera.
footage of what happens to this robber, which I thought was very cool.
Uh-huh. And the monster kills him. Spoiler.
Yeah.
The three guys then find the camera and the lights and are able to continue.
And it's kind of a teaser. You don't see them, you don't see the monster very well.
No.
Yeah.
You never really do see it.
You never
good.
do. Yeah.
They find a security camera in the tunnel, way up on the roof. Why would anybody be watching the security cameras in the dark?
Well, that's strange, isn't it?
Paul, back in the modern times, tells Dutani about the cameras, and Dutani insists that there are no security cameras down there.
Do you mean Doug?
The survivor is
Doug.
Doug. You're right. Yes. Okay, so Doug tells Dutani about all this. Doug is not dead.
Right.
Finally, they get a glimpse of the sewer monster, and they all run away. Paul gets lost somewhere.
Doug.
But
Who's Paul? There is no Paul.
There's no Paul?
There's no Paul at all.
Is that the actor's name?
No. There's no Pauls.
All right.
Whoops. I guess
he looks like a Paul.
Your proofer didn't catch that.
No, you didn't. All right, so Doug gets lost somewhere, and the other two continue on without him. Their battery dies, and they hear heavy breathing. When they replace the battery, the thing is gone. Dotani seems to be trying to convince Doug that there was no creature. He says that it was a figment of his suggestible imagination. He says they found the remains of Drew and James about an hour ago. This whole thing was so Doug would incriminate himself in their murder. Doug confesses in confusion, and they take him away. So, yeah, they just want somebody to confess.
And so they can give a normal explanation for what happened.
Yep, crazy guy killed all those people.
Yep.
We then get some more footage of the two guys in the sewer as they get exhausted and the monster gets closer and closer. It gets James off screen, and when Drew wakes up, he follows the trail of blood straight to it.
Well, not just the blood. It's Doug's voice calling him for help.
Yeah.
The things apparently can impersonate, and that was used earlier, too, with cats. It would lure people with the noise of cats. Oh, there's a poor kitty down there.
Oh,
and
they never did
babies.
see a cat, did they?
No, and baby noises.
Baby
Babies
noises,
crying.
yes.
Yeah, these things could impersonate, and it impersonated, the guy calling for help. I found a way out. Yeah, come through this opening. Yeah, leave the light behind. There's no room for the light. They were very averse to light, the creatures. Yeah, very cool.
Okay.
With monsters without ever clearly seeing the monsters.
Yeah. Finally, Dotari gets a visit from the agency, who thanks him for spinning the situation and getting a confession. No one really needs to know what happened down there.
Hush, hush. Yeah, they're covering it up.
Okay, so Drew farted around and didn't make this film until the weekend it was due. I've had students do the same thing with essay projects, and it never ends well.
I've done that myself as a student.
Well, this is a found footage film, a genre which is usually pretty played out, but this moves quickly and moves enough that it doesn't get boring. It's clearly really low budget and shot on the cheap, but the found footage angle covers that nicely.
Yeah, I thought they did a nice job
I
with
do
it.
find it hard to believe that they were down there for days and never found a single way out, not a single connection to water, not even an access point from the street above. That's not a sewer.
See, maybe it was like a Blair Witch situation, where the monsters had some power over.
They didn't see the exits that might have been right there.
Yeah, they were being messed with mentally. That could have been part of it.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I went into this not thinking much of the premise, but it was way better than I expected.
Yeah, very good. Very, very good.
All right. Speaking of way better than expected, the sleeper hit. Katherine's Lullaby, 2020.
And this one took the
This
top,
won
top
all
awards
their
in the
awards.
festival.
The best actor, the best second supporting actor, the best film, the best soundtrack, best couple of things. And yeah, it was very good, I thought.
It was.
Surprisingly good.
I was surprised. I wasn't expecting as much going into it.
And this is a more or less spoiler-free review here, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should watch it. It's good.
Yeah.
And yeah, we don't want to give you spoilers.
No.
So this one is written and directed by Savis Christou. Stars William Kircher, Tori Kostick, Jolene Anderson. Hour and 30 minutes. And right now this is still making the various film festival circuits, but I have heard that they are working on a distribution deal and will be coming soon to somewhere where you can watch it. Keep an eye out for it because it's really good. Well, Lily is a runaway from her abusive father. Her boyfriend Neil reminds her not to turn on her phone because of the tracking. They set up a tent out in the woods. Neil goes off for water and doesn't come back, but since he took Lily's cell phone, she's lost and unable to call for help. We never really found out what happened to him. I mean, we see him later.
We
never really find out why he disappeared for so long. Well, the next day she runs and finally comes to a house and asks for help. Evan, the man who lives in the house, invites her in. He seems very helpful and friendly. He's also a little strange, but not only that, he's apparently going to help her whether she wants help or not.
You will.
You come in here and get cleaned up. We're
Yes.
we're going to feed you.
Yes.
Evan looks like he might be every bit as angry and abusive as the father she just left. He locks her in the closet in the dark. He goes on and on about her beginning her training because she has to be the best. At one point, she thinks he's going to rape her, but all he wants for her to do is some sit-ups. What? She eventually earns his trust enough to be allowed upstairs. She rebels and tries to get away, and he locks her in the basement again. Lily is a prisoner, but since she's so used to an abusive lifestyle, her routine doesn't seem to have changed that much. Evan seems to think she's his daughter, Katherine, who also left him. Evan's brother Jeff comes over, and Evan explains that Katherine's back and in training. Jeff asks if Evan is off his meds, and Evan promises to go see the doctor. Jeff doesn't even imagine that there's actually a real person downstairs, so he just leaves. Evan doesn't hit Lily. He's nice in an impossibly overbearing way. Lily knows better than to rebel or fight back too much. At one point, he hands her a knife in the kitchen. She's not quite ready to go that far just yet. She starts reading Katherine's diary. We get a flashback to Evan and his wife. She explains that Evan is driving Katherine too much. "You need to stop this madness," she insists. And then Evan's wife is killed in an auto accident not long after that. Neil, her boyfriend, comes by and asks Evan about his missing girlfriend. Evan yells at him and Neil rides off. Not long after, Lily whacks Evan in the head with a flower pot and tries to run off. Will Lily ever get away? And what exactly happened to the real Katherine? Is Evan as crazy as he seems? Definitely need to watch this one to find out.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, well, this is kind of a weird one. You realize right away that Evan is a kidnapper and more than a little crazy, but he's not physically abusive like Lily's first father. It's a really slow burn, but the ending hit a home run. The acting is top-notch from both main actors, and although Lily is the main character, you kind of empathize with Evan as well, sorta.
Sorta, kinda, yeah.
He's not bad, he's just crazy. This is purely psychological and situational horror. There are no real monsters or any kind of gore here.
Yeah, it's not supernatural or anything.
Long-term kidnapping is pretty scary, but this film makes it seem believable. And of course, the last 15 minutes must be seen to be believed.
Excellent, yeah.
Yeah.
Deserved those prizes.
It did, totally.
Yeah.
And the next film?
As the Village Sleeps from
Yeah.
2021. Also another one. I mean, and, we're going to harsh on this. I think Brian's going to harsh on it more than I am. It's still a film that they thought was worthy of the film festival. And it's still an award-winning film. All these people put on a lot of work, and there's good elements to it and good acting, and there's good things about it. So
It's a perfectly fine film.
but brace yourself for some harshness, because we didn't love this one. Yeah.
Oh, this isn't the perfectly fine film. I'm getting it confused with one of the other. Yeah, this just sucked.
You didn't think this was perfect. Okay.
All right.
Listen to him.
Well, yeah, okay, all right.
Are you going to harsh on it?
I'm going to
harsh on it. You're going to harsh on it that bad. I'm not going to harsh on it as bad as he did. But I'd give it like a 6. I didn't love it.
Okay.
And Brian didn't like it.
I will reserve my rating until the very end so I can refresh my memory a bit here.
Okay.
Directed by Terry Spears, written by Chloe Belande, stars Shia Luna, Renee Thompson, and Victoria Strange, hour and 23 minutes. A couple park their truck as the women get out to burn some papers. She comes back to the truck and Jason has vanished. The woman screams as something breaks in after her. Credits roll. Several friends are having a weekend getaway at one girl's father's place in the middle of an Indian reservation. Yeah, now this is the first complaint I've got. It's said to be in the middle of this Indian reservation.
Uh-huh.
Did you see any Indians in this movie? Do you see anything in this movie that refers to the Indians? Does the girl or her father or anybody in this look like an Indian? Yeah, okay.
Yes. Some of the people do and mention that. And yeah.
I think it's an irrelevant detail.
Okay.
I think it's just meant to make it sound like it's somewhere off and mysterious.
One of the actresses is definitely of Native American heritage. I think so.
Well, maybe. Okay. But she's not the one. She's not the one with that lives there.
But yeah, Anyway, I didn't find that a sore point.
So Matt, Alex, and their band will be dropping by on their way to somewhere. It doesn't take long before the tequila and hot sauce come out, and we learn that these are the most awkwardly boring people ever. Matt explains the rules to some kind of really stupid werewolf party game, and he explains it so slowly that, what are we talking about? I've already forgotten.
A party game. A card party game.
There's a card party game?
Yeah.
Oh, this instructions go on for so long, I forgot what the game was about before the game was over.
Werewolves and not werewolves.
Yeah. No, it's just a long explanation, and literally I forgot, what are we watching this for?
I thought that could have been snapped up some.
Yeah,
explained faster. Boom, boom, boom.
And the problem was he really didn't explain it, because they're still explaining it at the end of the film.
Yeah.
Giving more details about this card game.
Yeah, unveiling it as it goes along.
The card game turns out to be the heart of the entire movie, but it was so boringly presented, I wasn't paying that much attention. I'm like, yep, they're playing a card game, and they come back to that card game over and over and over.
Easy to lose track of where he was on it.
Yeah. I think this was the clunkiest part of the film, was this card game.
I thought that scene could have been tightened up. Yeah. And it would have been
a lot
better.
of things could have been. Okay, so the next morning, everyone has a hangover, including the audience. Matt has disappeared. Suddenly, Nick remembers they left Julia at the beer store, so they drive back in the dark. But remember, it was morning in the previous scene.
And they're a little inconsistent on that.
Yeah, they all wake up with a hangover.
They've been and then they're still partying.
It's still that same night later on. Like, how'd they all get a hangover in 20 minutes?
Or is it the next night? It's just been one continuous party?
There's some time wibbly-wobblying going on.
Wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey.
It's tomorrow, but it's not really. So let's all have a hangover by now. Okay. So they find Julia's phone in the store's parking lot. Liz hears something growling in the woods. The monster gets her before the two guys in the parking lot behind her come looking for her. How'd that even happen? Alex finds the cards from the werewolf card game that they were playing out in the parking lot. Somebody's got their cards. Meanwhile, back at the house, the power goes off, because it's still nighttime. Tala goes downstairs to get the breaker, but she hears the thing in the basement growling. Tala and Sarah bond as sisters after many years. They figure out that the werewolf is killing people in the same sequence as happened in their card game. If that's true, then Sarah is next. And you're right, Sarah is a Native American. I remember that now.
At least one of the people.
Okay, so one of them is,
definitely. Yes. Yeah. And the actress playing Tala.
No, okay, maybe I got the wrong sister.
Oh, okay, yes.
Maybe it is Tala. Okay.
Yes, Tala, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Sarah doesn't seem as...
No, she's not. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, anyway, so maybe the Indian thing has a little justification. Out in the woods, Matt wanders around lost, and the camera lingers on the beware of bear trap sign 3 or 4 times.
Could that be any more obvious?
Nick and
Hey,
Alex...
do you know there's bear traps there?
No.
That's
What?
Chekhov's bear traps.
Hey, look, there's a sign that
Chekhov's
says
bear
traps.
trap sign, you know.
Nick and Alex wander around the roads as their cars start to run out of gas. They pick up Midnight, an old local man. Alex keeps getting visions of Nick with a werewolf head. He looks over and there's this werewolf sitting next to him, and then he looks again and it's not. They go to the police station and Nick gets arrested for being an asshole. That's pretty much it. Connie finds Matt out in the woods under the bear trap sign. Hey, there's a bear trap sign.
Yeah, again.
Matt finally, guess what he steps in?
A bear trap?
Surprise! And Connie can't get it open. You know, bear traps are meant to be hard to get open, but they're not that hard to get open.
Oh, I don't know
between the
about-
two of them.
Well, he was hurt in a weird angle. And,
Oh, I could see him not being able to, but with her there to help, yeah, they should have been. Yeah.
Ooh, I'm not so sure. But, you know, she was probably not very physically strong, and he could not be very strong in the angle he was trying to do it from. And,
Well,
you know,
all right.
I didn't find that unbelievable that the two of them couldn't get it.
Okay,
Because
so-
they're, yeah.
She can't get it open.
Yeah, they can't.
Jason then gets a hunting rifle while Tala and Sarah somehow get lost in this cage maze that has appeared under their house. It's like slats in the crawl space, and boy, it's huge and complicated all of a sudden. Connie, who couldn't get the bear trap open to free Matt, returns to the house and then returns back to the bear trap empty-handed and finds that, hey, she still can't get him free. Maybe it's because she brought no help or no tools. I'll go and get help. I'll get tools.
And then she comes back.
Empty-handed, yes. Alex and Sarah drive off in the car, and Jason pursues them. Alex, who suddenly has the gun, shoots Connie and runs Jason off the road. And then the sun comes up. Alex picks up Nick at the jail, and they bury the card game in the dirt. What? There was a werewolf or two in there somewhere, wasn't there? This film has the worst script and dialogue I've heard in a film possibly all year. There were so many boring and unnecessary lines that almost every scene feels boring and drawn out. It's like they had to make this more than an hour long, and they're going to do anything they can to stretch it.
Harsh. Wow.
How can we make this film longer? I know. Let's play card games, said no good director ever. Not only that, but the gameplay is intertwined heavily with the plot, but the gameplay is only revealed as the film progresses. It might have made more sense if we'd seen the whole game when they played it, or knew how the game was played, or if this was a real game that anyone on Earth had actually ever seen before. And somebody's probably going to write in saying, you know, you can buy this game at so-and-so store. I'm also not quite sure how they all managed to find time to have serious hangovers on what appears to be the same evening as the partying. We never really see the werewolf. We never find out who the werewolf was. At one point, there is a person who we see is a werewolf. We don't see a good look at her, but she wasn't the werewolf in the beginning, I don't think.
I will not comment because I'm not sure.
Yeah, there's no gore or monster effects. I'm sure we simply lost track of one or two characters at some point because they were so forgettable. Sometimes I write these reviews to be entertaining and funny when the movie is bad, but this was just a jumbled mess of terribleness, and I mean this in the harshest way. It's hard to be funny with a film that's this bad.
So I suppose I will try to soften that review a little bit. But boy, I'm not harshing on it that much.
I don't think you could.
Wow. There was some good acting in this and a lot of good technical aspects.
You said that with a straight face.
Yes, I did. Because these people worked hard on this.
Technical aspect, it's well filmed. It looks fine. Everything is fairly clear. I will give it that. The sound is fine. The video is fine.
So people, you know, if you were involved with this and listening to Brian, don't be discouraged. Keep doing stuff. Keep working at it. You know,
Choose a different director
maybe
next
look at
time.
these things that Brian has said, and that he doesn't like, and say, maybe, and keep improving, keep working, don't, keep putting out stuff, keep working at it, and I give it a 6. I didn't hate it.
One.
Yeah, agree to disagree, but
All right,
that's all right. But it was included in the film fest. I mean, they thought it was worthy, so yeah. There we go. Watch it for yourself and decide for yourself. That's what we would recommend. Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
Which takes us to our final film for this week, Companion by 2021. And I'll say they showed the trailer for this like over and over, and I thought it looked really dumb.
The trailer doesn't do it
The
justice.
trailer is really bad.
The movie is so much better than the trailer.
Yes,
I
it
watched
is.
the trailer again after the movie and thought that.
Yeah, they keep showing the effect of these companion ghost things, and it didn't look very good in the trailers.
Yeah.
In the movie, it was fine. It made perfect sense.
The movie is really good.
The trailer just made it look cheap.
I thought so too. Yeah.
So don't watch the trailer on
Don't
this.
judge it on the trailer.
Yeah, go watch the movie. It is actually very good. Written and directed by John Darbone, stars Christopher Nguyen, Cody Renee Cameron, Stephen Brody, hour 44 minutes. Link to IMDb at the very least in the show notes. And we both like it?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right.
Yeah, we're in agreement on this one. Yay!
A man with a machete approaches a car. He sees a bloody arm inside the car and he screams. Credits roll.
I liked it because it was so different. It was a different take on ghosts and spirits and spirituality and souls and zombies, and I mean it was kind of a strange crossover of
I would say more
apocalypse.
ghost than zombies.
Yeah.
But you could have a ghost of someone before they were dead, which was interesting.
Yeah, different to take a different apocalyptic view of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was unique. Yeah. Anyway, continue.
Eventually, we figure out that this weird thing has happened, and these things called companions have been created that are sort of like ghosts, sort of like zombies, sort of like premonitions.
And they sort of latch on to specific people.
It's complicated.
But also specific places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, we see that same man, Gus, without the bloody clothes this time. He and his wife have broken into this house, and we can see that it's some kind of apocalypse, and they've been hunting for food. They joke about these things called companions that haunt you. He goes to check out the barn, and he cuts his hand. The companions come for him. Ella explains that they look like ghosts but can affect the real world. Companions are drawn to fear, and they don't go far from where they died. The war was 3 years ago, and they hear a radio broadcast about a safe place called Bodega Island with an invitation to come and live with them and be safe. A group of people stab Gus outside. He keeps looking at the car, knowing he's going to die in that car. He sees the companion inside. That was himself, who he's seen earlier in the back seat. The preacher, Maddie, and Emily are there now. They're looking for a guy named Abner. Ella's stuck between the preacher and a companion, but the humans get her first. Abner shows up, and there's a very fast gunfight and a slow wrestling match. He kills Maddie and Emily, but the preacher gets away. Abner explains to Ella that Gus is going to take days or weeks to die, but he dies really fast instead. Abner takes Ella with him in his truck. After a lot of arguing, they make an uneasy peace. Ella runs into a child survivor who is quickly killed by a companion. The junkyard they're in is infested with the things, and they throw Abner all over the place. We see Gus, who isn't as dead as we thought, and neither is the preacher. The two appear to have become allies. A man attacks Ella and shoots her in the arm with an arrow, but she soon gets her revenge with a knife. Abner explains that he still talks to his dead son, who is now a companion. Ella wants to go back and bury Gus, still thinking he's dead. Gus has seen Ella's companion, even though she's not dead, which isn't quite normal. Abner explains that he's been to Bodega. That's where he's actually from. Ella and Abner go back to where they left Gus, intending to bury him. Abner sees Ella's companion too. Ella finds the preacher's collar where Gus's body should have been, and a companion attacks Abner.
Lots of companion attacks.
Yeah, this is kind of violent.
Mm-hmm.
They want to follow Gus and the preacher to Bodega. To get there, They need to see Merritt, a man who knows the way. Merritt explains that there's no such place as Bodega Island. Ephraim, the guy on the radio, is holed up at Abner's old place. Merritt explains that the preacher is dead, but as far as he knows, the preacher was alone. Ella recites poetry to Abner while they're in bed together, on a road trip to hopefully rescue her husband. What?
What? They've become good friends.
This was after she spent the past hour trying to avoid getting raped by Abner. Well, if you can't beat him, join him, I guess.
Yeah. It's complicated.
Right. Yeah, and there's more stuff that happens, and it ends interestingly enough.
Yes, we're not going to spoil it further.
We're not going to spoil it further. So the effect for the companions is surprisingly good, and the explanation and lore behind them are nice as well.
And I think that was surprisingly simply done. I mean, I think it was people in gray makeup, looking great and ghosted out, and then a little bit of a camera effect a lot of the time, too.
Like I said, in the trailer, the effect looked really cheap.
It looks way better in the movie.
It really doesn't, but in context, it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks realistic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where do all these random crazy people, and I don't mean the companions, keep popping up from?
Because it's an apocalypse and only the crazy people are left.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the argument between Abner and the preacher is not interesting at all, and it's really just an excuse for the characters to travel around this weird apocalypse world in search of a sanctuary that doesn't exist. Companions aren't really understood, but they are also very unpredictable. It was all going very well until that final scene, which we didn't spoil. I think they should have cut it off right after they got back together with a happy ending.
I don't know. Yeah,
it was, the whole quest was kind
different.
of a waste of time for two people that didn't care about each other at all.
But not how you think.
Not how you think, no.
Yeah.
All right.
But overall, big thumbs up from both of us.
That's a bunch of movies. So, thumbs up on Catherine's Lullaby. Two definite thumbs up from us.
Yes.
Werewolves on Wheels. We're kind of agreed on that one, too.
Pretty much thumbs down.
Thumbs down. Companion from 2021. Thumbs up from both of us.
Yes.
As the Village Sleeps.
Thumbs up from me and
thumbs down from me.
Down from Brian. Yeah.
Dwellers.
Thumbs up from both of us.
Inferno, short film.
Big thumbs up.
The Guard Station.
Thumbs up from both of us.
Okay.
Yeah, so we mostly winners this week
we
our book.
We very disagree on The Village Sleeps, but other than that, we're pretty much agreed on these guys.
So
we're going to have movies next week?
We should do some more next week.
We should.
Let's begin with some classics. We're going to do The House on Haunted Hill. Well, I guess it's sort of a classic. It's a remake of classic.
Yeah.
1999.
You say something like The House on Haunted. You mean the old one or the new one?
Right.
And the new one's 22 years old. Doesn't feel. Yeah, I see that.
The Parker Sessions, which was another one of the ones from the fest from 2019.
Are you crazy, or is it just your therapist?
Yes. It's complicated. And 4 other short films that will be released in 2021 that were ones from the fest.
We got lots of short films coming up in the next month.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm Brian.
And I'm Kevin.
And we'll see you next week.
See ya.